right, welcome to another episode of the 503 line. My name's Clayton. I'm one of your co-hosts, and I'm joined by John.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 503 line, episode 4. The only episode about transit in the Portland, Oregon metro area.
Yeah, sorry we're a couple weeks after the previous one. I was out of town for a bit, so we couldn't record, but we're back at it again. And today we're going to talk about bus
Bad
rapid
BRT.
transit. Yeah, bad bus rapid transit. So, John, if you want to kick it off.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about BRT or the lack thereof. So basically, you take a bus and then you put a bunch of fancy stops and then you call it bus rapid transit. Um, and it still gets stuck in traffic. And that's a concept known as BRT creep. And that's not when you sniff someone's hair on a bus. That's being a creep on the BRT. No, it's when buses creep through traffic. And get stuck in the same traffic. And the two systems in the Portland metro area we'll use as examples are the FX in Portland and the Vine in Vancouver across the river. Uh, so, do we want to start off with the FX in Portland?
Yeah, let's start with that. Um, do you want to go over it, or do you want me
Oh
to?
yeah, yeah. So the FX was a is a project in Portland that began a few years ago to add transit on another east-west corridor in southeast Portland. And this was identified as far back as the early 1980s to have transit on Powell Boulevard, that area. Um, and to have a high frequency transit corridor in between downtown Portland and Gresham in southeast Portland. And this was identified in the 1982 light rail system plan that was done with the construction of the original Blue Line in 1986. And this was in, oh yeah, what's it say? Oh, POV, reading off the Wikipedia article. um, so in 2009, it was determined to be a near-term regional priority, which meant for 30 years they did nothing. But
Now suddenly they're like, oh, we need to do this now.
yeah, so in 2014, they did the Powell Division Transit and Development Project. And they decided they would do BRT and not light rail because cheaper. And when they originally came up with this project, they wanted to do dedicated bus lanes the whole way and center running bus lanes in the median of the road so the buses wouldn't be affected by like right turns and stuff. And the YouTuber City Nerd has a few good bits about this because he actually worked on this project back in the day as a transit planner. And he loves to talk about how they had this grand vision of a true BRT system and how over the planning process of this project it got devolved into just a normal bus line with running in mixed traffic and just running fancy buses and maybe some fancy stops. Um, so originally they wanted it to go on Powell Boulevard on the western part of the project, like west of 82nd Avenue, and on Division Street for the eastern part, um, from like 82nd to Gresham. But they decided they'd put the whole thing on Division Street and replace Line 2. So they got the name FX2 from Frequent Express because Express starts with X, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and they put the 2 because it replaced Line 2, even though it was the first of the FX lines. Anyways,
Yeah, I think that's like
they
ex- very confusing, especially if you're like from out of town. You're like, oh, where's FX1? Like, oh, that doesn't
exactly.
exist.
So basically, how the project panned out is they built some fancier bus stops on Division Street. They have like some enhanced shelters. They made the bus stops a little bit longer. They made the curbs a little bit higher to make the boarding a little bit more level. And then they added transit signal priority, which means that the buses can communicate with the traffic lights and maybe hold the green light longer for buses in theory, but in practice, does that happen? Because you've ridden this thing more than I do, Clayton.
Um, I mean, it's better than like it's clear that it works. And the way I can see that is, you like if I was on a regular bus, I would expect to hit more red lights. So it definitely
Yep.
does work. But like I've watched it before where a bus is like a block or two away and then the light changes before it gets there.
Yeah, and then it has
But
to
then I've
wait
also
at a
seen
red
it
light.
work properly where the bus has like just gone through the intersection and then the light changes. And I can see the other way, like I can pretty confidently know it's working is I can watch like the walk signals. They'll count down, they'll hit 0, and usually that's when
Yep.
the light would change to yellow, but there's a bus a couple blocks away and then
It'll
it
go back to the
remains
walk
as
sign.
yeah, it switches to walk, but only for like a minute, and then it or like a few seconds. That switches back to like a countdown. It's just enough to let the bus through, and then it switches. So
Okay.
it it works, but it's not perfect. I know they use
Because
like a
if there's a
cloud.
line, oh yeah, go
They use
ahead.
like a cloud-based system that I think it's like Light or something like LYT.
Yep.
And it like tracks the buses by like GPS, I'm assuming, and it relays like that information to the traffic signals, and it uses like AI to determine when the bus is like how fast the bus is going and when it'll pass through
Hmm.
the signal. So I think it what happens is when like something unexpected happens, the bus has to like slow down suddenly because someone cut it off or something.
Yep.
It throws off that system's timing, and then it
Exactly.
doesn't know to hold the signal. So
And what I've encountered a lot of times is there's a whole line of cars in front of the bus, and the light will obviously try its best to hold the light green, but it can only do that for so long before it has to switch phases and let cars through in the other direction or whatever.
yeah, that's a good observation too. And that's a downfall of them putting it on at least the west part of Division, like west of like 82nd Avenue, because the road's
Yeah,
so
which
narrow.
has 0 bus lanes.
Yeah.
There's no kind of bus infrastructure until you get to the Tillicum Crossing Bridge, which is kind of sad. But that leads us to our next thing about the FX, and that they chose to use the Route 2 used to use the Hawthorne Bridge, but they decided to use the newish Tillicum Crossing Bridge to have buses go across, as well as the Harbor Viaduct to get up to the Portland Transit Mall. So that's a little bit more dedicated infrastructure. But between there and 82nd and Southeast, there are no bus lanes, which really hinders the performance of this bus rapid transit and quotations project.
Yeah, and I think that will kind of lead us into our next frustration about it is rerouting from Hawthorne to the Tillicum crossing added a side effect.
Yep, there is a level crossing with the Union Pacific Main Line where buses on this bus rapid transit line have to go across the Union Pacific tracks at 8th Avenue, it looks like.
Yeah, it is eight.
And yeah, they have to cross the tracks there. And freight trains going into the Union Pacific Yard or the Steel Bridge absolutely crawl across the east side of Portland. And they'll frequently stop on that level crossing, waiting for a red signal. And FX buses frequently have to divert around there and take a really wacky route. Do they take Powell Boulevard to get under the tracks?
Um, I I don't know if this is current because it's been a couple of years since
Yep.
I've been on one when it did the diversion, but when I was going eastbound, it instead of turning on to Division at 8th, it actually went the opposite direction. Kind of, I think it goes down like 6th Avenue, and then it turns on to um, it makes like a U-turn onto Grand, so it goes over the MLK viaducts,
Okay.
and then this is the crazy part: is it goes all the way up to Hawthorne, then takes a right, and then takes another right on 7th, and it goes all the way back down 7th to
Oh,
Division. So
geez.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
it's something about the turn radius on the other side streets there. It has to go up to Hawthorne, but
Yeah.
they
But yeah,
just
it's
sent it down Hawthorne. It not a problem. But
yeah, that's a worst case scenario that it has to divert around that level crossing. But it's pretty frequent with the length of trains that Union Pacific runs over that line. And so yeah, it's kind of a
yeah,
sad side effect of using the Tillicum Crossing Bridge.
yeah, um, yeah. I think it adds about 5 minutes onto the trip, depending on traffic and
Hmm.
which track, because there's several traffic lights it has to go through. So
Yeah.
if it happened to hit a red on pretty much all of them, then it's going to add a lot of time. I I used to work on the South Waterfront, and one day, this is the only time I actually had it happen to me. So I was like super unlucky. I had a lunch break, and there was a place. It was somewhere on Division. I don't remember exactly where, but not too far on the east side. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna run over. I'll hop on the FX because it was like a 5-ish minute walk from where I worked. And I'll hop on the FX, take it like 2 stops over to the east side, grab food, come back. Well, I hit that detour, and because of the crossing, I had to take it both ways, the
Yeah.
detour. Because I thought, okay, on the way back, I'll just take the orange line. I'd have to walk a little farther to get down to the stop at 12th,
Yep.
or I think it's like, yeah, Clinton and 12th. But then I looked, and it was also blocking that crossing, so I would have to go down to like 14th and take the pedestrian bridge, and so
Yeah.
that was
No,
going to take even longer. So I ended up coming back to work late. I don't think my boss even noticed, but it was like if
yeah.
I
At the same.
weren't
Yeah.
for that, I would have made it on time.
It makes the reliability so much worse for.
Yeah.
a system that's supposed to be frequent.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think if you're like at that stop, what's the next stop? If you're like eastbound, like Division and like 12th, you'd see
mhm.
the bus would be leaving like the OMSI stop and it'd say like 2 minutes away. And then it just like keeps going up because the bus is going the opposite direction from you
Oh
so they
yeah,
can get around the crossing.
it's pretty funny. One of the so if we talk about the eastern portion of this line, they have a little bit more bus lines. Typical configuration you'll see a bus lane in one direction and nothing in the other direction. And then you get to an intersection and you'll have a queue jump, which means buses get to use the right turn lane, and then when they get to the lane, when they get to the intersection, they get to cut across back into a normal travel lane. Um, and you see that a few times on the eastern portion of Division. The These queue jumps are interesting in that the buses have to share the turn lane with cars trying to turn right. And when a bunch of cars are stacked up in the turn lane, the bus has to wait for all those cars to turn right. And the way that they design some of these turn lanes, if you open up your textbook to Google Maps Street View on 122nd and Division, you look going eastbound on Division, you have a right turn lane that ends with a queue jump for buses. Now you'll notice there's a little sign that says no turn on red for cars. What that means in practice is cars can only turn right there when there's no pedestrians or cyclists on that crossing. When it's on a phase when cars can clearly turn right there, and this crossing also has very poor detection of whether there's pedestrians or cyclists there, so it'll frequently have a red arrow for cars trying to turn. So in practice, you have buses getting caught behind a whole bunch of cars trying to turn right, but they can't because it's no turn on red. When the buses do get to that intersection, they have to wait for the little bus signal to tell them they can go. Then they can merge back into traffic and stop at the stop, which is on the wrong side of the intersection. And they have to wait for passengers to get on the bus at that stop. So I don't know. It's the worst way to do the queue jump, in my opinion, to have it sharing the right turn lane with the traffic, having the bus stop on the far side of the intersection, and having a green arrow for cars that only pops up sporadically. So the timing has to be really precise in order to get cars and buses flowing through there. And there's an absolute shitload of people turning from Division on to 122nd too, because that's a big auto-oriented area.
Yeah, the size of this turn or like the length of this turn lane is wild.
Yeah,
It's so long.
it's got to be 200 feet long or something.
Yeah. It's interesting because I would think that the preemptive signal, like the cloud system we were talking about, would make this actually efficient where, it detects a bus like I don't know. I would hope that it would have like a sensor that could detect how many cars are backed up in this right lane,
Yeah.
determine how far back the bus is, make the light turn green for the right turning cars so they get a right
Hmm.
arrow with enough time for the lane to clear out for then the bus to pull up and the signal change for the bus, and then it can pull forward, and then the whole cycle changes.
Yeah.
Like you'd think that would be how it's. I mean, it probably is designed similar to that, but I think it just in practice there's too many
Yeah.
variables, and the system can't actually
They
accomplish what it's supposed to.
I hate to say it, but they prioritized pedestrian safety a little bit too much in this intersection, where they made it so you can't turn right on red and you have to wait for that green arrow. Without that green arrow, people could turn right on red and they could clear out that right turn lane a lot more quickly.
It would
But
be. Sorry, go ahead.
but that kind of brings us back to the whole situation that they got themselves into where they should have had the bus lanes running in the median and not have the buses share the right turn lane. They shouldn't have this situation in the first place
Yeah,
where they're compromising pedestrian safety in order to make the buses go fast.
yeah. It would be
Yeah.
nice for like a quick fix if they could. Um, I've seen these at various places, but replace the like no turn on red sign with one of those dynamic ones that um
Yeah, when the walk
when like
signal is on.
yeah, like when the walk signal's on, it's the sign is on and it says no turn on red, and then
Mhm.
at a certain point, and I know they have like pedestrian detection devices. Like at a certain point when the signal determines like, okay, the pedestrian should be safely enough across. It still doesn't turn the light green, but it turns the like dynamic thing off to say like now you can turn right on red. So in theory, cars should still be stopping, checking for pedestrians, turning prior to the light turning green. Obviously, that
Yes.
doesn't happen in real life all the time, but
Exactly. Yeah.
so it's yeah, like you're saying, even if they do that, it is still like a trade off. Like then it's gonna reduce pedestrian safety. But I also have seen people turn right on those on red, even though it says no turn on red. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's never a
Typical
perfect
American
system.
drivers. Yep.
But
Um, I'm sure European drivers would be just as bad if they had our infrastructure over there. Um,
probably.
anyway, do we have anything more to add about the division FX
Um,
line?
no, not really. I was just like quickly looking at Google Maps to see like the location of the bus lanes. It looks like they really only have them up until like 100 and looks like 52nd Avenue is where the last one starts going. Oh, no. Sorry, I missed. There's one at 162nd, but it's just like a queue jump. It's not really
Yeah, exactly.
a bus lane. But they do have the
Yeah,
stops on the
they're.
near side there. But
Hmm.
I think that's the last one.
Which is the right place to put a stop when you have a queue jump.
Yeah.
I know I can say that as a person who has operated a bus before.
Yeah. So it basically, do you mean like you would stop and then it like triggers the signal while you're stopped? So when you're ready to go, then you have like a go signal.
Yes. With the system that I have used before, um, when you're at, if the station is close to the intersection, which it looks like this one is really far away from the intersection, actually, uh,
Yeah, they
which kind
probably have
of
another
makes it a moot
100.
point.
Yeah, like 75, 100 feet where they'd have to pull forward.
Yeah. Um, the traffic lights can detect when you turn your four-way flashers off, and then they start the process of activating the queue jump.
Okay, that's actually.
But
Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish.
yeah, so yeah, when you're done stopping and picking up passengers, you turn off your four-way flashers. Then a few seconds later, it gives you the proceed signal.
That's
Uh,
That's
And then it gives you
pretty
time to like
in
pull up to the red light. But yeah,
yeah. That's pretty intelligent because I thought the whole time the way it would detect is like there's just like a loop sensor in the ground or one of those like microwave sensors mounted on the traffic light that just
yeah.
detects the presence of a bus and then either on like a timer or something like assumes you're going to be at the stop for 30 seconds or something, but I didn't realize that it could actually detect when you turn your four ways off and know
I
like
That's the way I was told it works in training as a bus driver, but
I mean
I
that
don't
if
know if that actually is it.
I mean I could see it. They have cameras on most traffic lights now, and they're probably high enough quality that they could see the light and have some
Yeah.
sort of like algorithm that knows, oh, that they just shut off. So
Now the consistency with which the traffic lights will do that is varies, but
which
sometimes
makes
they
me
won't be able to see you at all.
yeah, which makes me believe more that they are working off of looking at your lights and like it's not super or being like
Exactly.
it can't see it very clearly or something.
A lot of the time, you just have to oh, more than you'd like to happen. You have to just go up to the stop line, put your left hand signal on, and then merge back when it's safe to do so, especially when you're running late. But
Just Leroy Jenkins it. Just like, I'm
exactly.
coming.
You're technically supposed to call dispatch and ask if you can do that, but they'll just tell you you can do that when it's safe to do so.
That's nice. You gotta sit there
Yeah,
for a while waiting.
exactly. Um, anyway, let's talk about the future of the FX program in the TriMet sphere of influence.
Yeah, so uh, there are two projects that are coming. One is pretty far into the design phase. The other is
Yes.
I don't even I think maybe in the planning phase, but we're gonna focus mainly on the 82nd Avenue project, which I believe is going to be called FX72 because it's going to
Where's the
replace.
other 70?
Yeah, we're missing several routes, but um, the route is going to replace part of Route 72,
72.
which is currently the has the highest ridership of any route at TriMet with a 10,000 daily trips.
Yep.
Um, it also has the most delays of any of their bus lines because of 82nd Avenue. So the idea is putting FX on or BRT on 82nd Avenue will speed up trips because you have all these improvements to speed the
Enhancements
buses up. Yeah, enhancements to speed the buses up. And also, you would have larger 60-foot buses so you
that
can
can
fit more
fit more.
passengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the theory. Um, the what they're gonna do on 82nd, pretty much the same as like Division. They're gonna have like the larger, more elegant bus stations with like
Hmm.
they really are only like slightly larger shelters than the regular ones. Well, some of them are a little bit bigger, but I've seen
Yeah.
some that are not
They're
great.
nicer
But
than the normal primate shelters, at least.
yeah, yeah, they're
I'll
definitely
give
a
them
lot.
that.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot nicer. And then all the kind of improvements you're talking about, raise the curb slightly. Um, they usually do. There were a few stops on like Division where they had like kind of put the bike lane behind it. I don't know
Yep.
if they're going to do that here because there's no
There's
bike
no
lanes
bike
on
lanes.
82nd, but
Yeah.
they say they're going to make accessibility improvements in close proximity to pedestrian crossings. They also say they're going to use a next generation transit signal priority. So I don't know if they're just calling the one that they currently use next generation, or if they realize it doesn't work that well and they're going to
Yeah,
bring a different one.
I
I
bet they're
don't
going
know.
to add AI into it. That's going to
Yeah,
fix
well,
it.
apparently the current one already uses it. So,
Oh yeah.
and then, like I said, they're going to use 60-foot buses, but these are actually going to be new for TriMet. They're going to be zero emission fuel cell electric buses, which are going to be powered by hydrogen.
And they're going to be made by New Flyer
Yeah,
instead of the Nova bus ones they bought for the FX.
yeah, we didn't even talk about that, but essentially when they first got the Nova buses, it was a total disaster. They had to take them all out of service for a pretty extended period of time. I don't
Hmm.
remember what the issue was. It was something with like a steering arm or something, but it was not a great rollout for those buses. And I don't know for sure, but I think they're still causing them some pretty big
Yeah,
maintenance
some headache.
headaches.
Yeah, the Nova bus not reliable.
Yeah. So
Uh,
they're gonna get new flyers,
yeah,
which has
and
a pretty substantial track record.
yeah, they use them in Seattle, in Vancouver, which we'll talk about later in this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
they're
quite a bit more reliable in at least in this part of the country.
yeah. And so part of getting these buses, they are building or might be done building. I've driven through there a few times. A new like maintenance and like storage facility in the Coley neighborhood. Coley, I don't know if I said that right, but
Yeah, yeah, you said yeah.
um. Anyway, so I'm assuming they're gonna have like the hydrogen fueling
Fueling
stations
area.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um.
that'll
So
be interesting to because I don't think there are any agencies in the U.S. running hydrogen buses yet.
yeah, I don't think so.
So
I mean, I
it's
watched.
an kind of an unproven technology. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, I watched this video. It's been a while, but there was, I think it was a Toyota hydrogen car,
Hmm.
and they only sold it in like Southern California, maybe like the Bay Area too.
Yeah,
And
all the
the
tech bros,
owners, what's that?
all the tech bros bought them.
Yeah. But they were interviewing the owners of these cars and they were just livid because I think it was Toyota. I don't want to like throw them shade or anything if
Yeah,
unnecessarily, but and the for Toyota's credit, apparently the car itself was great. Like they loved the car, but they Toyota made all these like claims of like, oh, it's gonna be like this is the future. Like you can fuel
hmm,
it just as fast as a gas car because you're just putting the hydrogen in it, and then
yeah,
a bunch of chemistry happens to make electricity, and the only
yeah, yeah.
emissions is water and all that. And so they were like, this is the future. And then I think Toyota put a little bit of investment into building out a hydrogen network, but it was mostly up to private companies.
Yeah.
And they
And
were like, we're not going to build
yeah,
these.
yeah. What? But there's
Or,
only one model of car that uses them. That's not. There's no
yeah.
profit in that.
So I want to say there was like 10 or 20 of them built up in like the entire Southern California area, which is already like not a lot
Yeah,
with
exactly.
that size of area. And then when they were doing this interview, they were showing that only four of them were operational at the time. So some of the owners were having to drive like an hour plus out of their way just to get hydrogen. And then it was
That's a
like,
great way to get caught on the 110, man.
yeah. And it was like 120 to like $150 to fill it. Um, yeah, and it was only getting like 400 something miles of range, which isn't bad, but I
But when
mean,
you're paying
like,
$400 frickin' dollar.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
jeez. That's yeah.
so I say that because that's my only like knowledge on hydrogen-based vehicles. So I'm hoping in this practice it'll be a little bit better because they will just have the central fueling station and a supplier, I guess, to come bring them the hydrogen. But I can
Hopefully
imagine
it
the
won't.
cost of that's going to be expensive.
It's not gonna put TriMet in the poorhouse.
Well, they already are, so
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah. So I don't know.
Well,
I mean, it'll
fortunately,
be
they're getting federal money to build this thing, so
yeah. So
capital
that'll
construction will be okay. But
yeah. It's gonna be once they are operating it and needing to get refills of their hydrogen tanks that they might be like, this is too expensive. And as if you're familiar with the FX line, you know the FX2, you know that they supplement 40-foot diesel buses on it
a
fairly
lot.
frequently.
Yep. Sometimes
I would
every
not
other bus.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw that on the FX
Yep.
72 for whatever reason. Um, so kind of going on concurrently with this project, or really it's going to happen and has been happening and will be finished before this project starts,
Hmm.
is 82nd Avenue improvements by Peabot.
The
Um,
Portland Bureau of Transportation, the agency that manages all the roads and bike infrastructure in the city of Portland, besides the freeways.
yeah. I was gonna ask you because I don't know. Is like Grand Avenue and like the 99E, is that owned by Peabot or is that ODOT?
Those are owned by Peabot.
Okay, so yeah, Peabot then pretty much has all of the
Yeah,
roadways.
all
But
of the surface streets.
yeah, that changed in I just looked it up. 2022, the state transferred ownership of 82nd Avenue to Peabot. So it's originally maintained by ODOT, but they transfer over to Peabot. Um, and so
Since then, yeah, Peabot has been making safety improvements to 82nd Avenue up and down.
yeah, so safer crossings for one thing, better lighting, wider sidewalks. They're putting medians in a lot of areas to kind of control or prevent left turns in certain cases.
Yeah, a lot of
Especially
some
at
nice trees in the median.
Yeah, especially at like the where 82nd crosses like the neighborhood greenways, they put like a solid median in so you can't
Yeah,
turn left, cars can't go straight if they're on the side street, so only pedestrians and bikes can continue on the side street. Um,
you can see a nice one at 82nd and Schuler, or I don't know how the hell you pronounce that. Right?
I don't know.
German's not a real language. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Um, so that part of the project is technically completely separate from TriMet's. I think in theory they were trying to plan it a little bit where like some of the pedestrian improvements would be
they go
concurrent with
along
where they're
with
gonna
the transit project.
yeah, like where they're gonna
But
put stops and stuff, but I don't in practice I don't think that happened very much.
yeah, Peabot basically started and finished the project before TriMet could start their portion of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Peabot's finishing up like a couple more intersections and they're mostly done.
Yeah.
Um
And I don't know, it ended up being negligible in terms of the experience walking along 82nd. The sidewalks are still super narrow.
yeah.
Uh, you still have to cross a whole bunch of uh, driveways and strode intersections that are very pleasant to interact with. And you still got people drag racing down 82nd all the time when it isn't bumper to bumper traffic. which all the
Yeah.
buses get stuck in. Which brings
Yeah.
us to our next point about bus lanes on 82nd.
Yes. So TriMet, I think it was the earlier this year, they did a survey where they wanted to know from the public how do you want your bus lanes on 82nd Avenue? Do you want some? Do you want more? Or I saw when I was researching this, they also wanted to know if people wanted them to widen 82nd Avenue in a few areas. Um, which I don't know how that was going to work, but
Which is the stupidest way to do a survey, especially if you're a transit agency. Like
yeah.
you're acting like everyone drives, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, the
They
entirety of
describe
this,
it as your travel times driving would drastically would be a lot higher if we put in bus lanes. It's
yeah,
like what? You're not advocating for it whatsoever. It's I don't know. It's like yeah.
yeah, the entirety of this surveying community outreach that has gone into getting bus lanes on 82nd Avenue has been pretty car centric by design, to try and seems to try and sway people to not want bus lanes. Um,
And I don't know, something makes me think that this is because everyone who's running TriMet drives their car to work.
yeah, yeah.
Just pisses me off. Okay. Anyway.
So, with that being said, the public overwhelmingly supported more bat lanes. And bat lanes are Peabot's like fancy way of calling their bus lanes. Basically, it stands for business access and transit, I think is what it is. And it basically
Yeah,
means
or
that
bus and turn.
bus and what?
Bus and turn is what I call
Oh,
it in my brain because it's a
yeah.
right turn lane that is a lane that buses can go straight using.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is it. So buses can continue straight. The only people that are allowed to use it otherwise are if you're pulling into like a business's driveway or turning right onto a street. And typically in the ones that they already have on like Grand Avenue and Burnside, there's a set spot where if you're taking a right turn onto a street, then you can enter it. And then if it's a driveway you're trying to enter, it's just a free for all. But um,
It
so when
works
I
decently well to keep traffic moving because people can take a right turn on red and it clears the lane out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, they are
but
pretty effective.
not as good
Um,
as having like a real bus lane, but
yeah,
we'll
like
take
instead of
it.
running one or something, but yeah. So if I call it a bat lane, that's because I'm reading off of this, and that's what
Yep.
they're referring to it as. So yeah, overwhelmingly the public wants more bat lanes. So they call it more because this project is going to extend from Clackamas Transit Center up 82nd Avenue to Lombard, and then it's going to head west. So they can only build the bus lanes down to where the Portland city limits end,
Yes.
um, which is at Clatsop, Clatsop, something like
Flats
that.
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 7 miles of the 10-mile project. So it's technically more bat lanes because the remaining 3 miles are not going to have any. Um, and so they can't call it like, oh, bus lanes for the entirety of it. But the entirety of the section that Portland Peabot owns, they would
Managers.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would put bat lanes on it in the more bat lanes option. The some bat lanes option, they were only going to put it in two areas, I believe, on
Yeah,
like
which is the far north and far south portion of 82nd that don't really see the most traffic.
yeah, you see the most traffic around like Division, Powell, Foster, like those areas,
Yeah.
and heavy east west. streets, and there's gonna be no bat lanes there if they went with the some bat lanes option.
Yeah.
So, um,
Basically, TriMet ignored the results of that survey.
yes.
Uh,
So on the 17th, I believe, a little memo went out that said, or 16th, a little memo went out that said, we're going to recommend the some bat lanes option. Um,
and
and
the general public and the transit advocacy uh, sector absolutely went insane. You can see Bike Portland has a great article absolutely roasting TriMet on this whole thing. It's awesome, honestly. But
yeah. So TriMet says it was budgetary reasons. They determined that they wouldn't have enough funds to do the entire bat lane option, which, or the more bat lane. Um,
Mhm.
so they said it would be a difference of about $8 million. So it'd be 10.8 million to do the more bat lane, while the sum is just 2.8. Because
Which
apparently
is
this says,
absolute BS because if you look at the total budget of the project, it is about 1% of the budget.
yeah, so it's not a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
But that's what TriMet officially said. However, Bike Portland did a public records request and was able to get two letters from businesses that strongly oppose bat lanes. Technically, the letters are from law firms who represent business
These
owners.
businesses, yeah.
Um, so one of the law firms represents Washman Car Washes and the Fubon, don't know if I said that right,
The
shopping
market, yeah.
center.
Yeah.
Um, so they were calling it an extreme proposal. It should simply be a non-starter. The voice of the business is simply not being heard. Um, and then the other one is a law firm that represents the Peterson Crossing Shopping Center, which is located on the southwest corner of Foster and 82nd. They're upset because they were told that their driveway on 82nd Avenue would be removed and that they would only retain the one on Foster Road. But as
That's in order to put a bus station,
yeah,
because they need to put the fancy station in for the FX.
yeah. John and I were actually looking at that before we started recording, and so it has nothing to do with the bus lane. The station's going to go there regardless. Well, I can't say that for certain, but I would
Yeah,
assume the
there's no
station's going to
other
go
good
there.
place to put the station, basically.
Yeah. It's either there, like in order to get the length of the station they need, they either put it there or they're going to put it so far away from Foster that on the north or south end that
You can't
transfers are going to be
transfer, yeah.
ridiculous. Um, so that's
But yeah,
officially not why
basically,
TriMet decided to not recommend the more bat lanes option, but seems like they kind of folded to
yeah, they
these,
caved to business interests
yeah,
that think
which
that cars are the only way people can get to businesses.
which I also want to point out that in this survey earlier in the year, um 54% of business respondents who own slash manage a business slash property on 82nd Avenue,
Mhm.
54% were in favor of more bat lanes.
Yeah,
So it's not, a vast majority, but it's kind of like, okay, you're claiming that you're not listening to the business owners, but 54% of you said you want it. And when
exactly.
77% of people who ride the 72 are for it, 67% who drive on 82nd Avenue, who would be, quote, affected by the bus lanes and not be able to come to your businesses, say that they're in favor of more bat lanes,
Because
then
people in Portland aren't stupid and they know that more better bus stuff means less traffic.
yeah. So the overwhelming majority is well in favor of more bat lanes, but some fuckwit who owns a car wash thinks we
Hmm.
shouldn't have it, so now we probably won't.
Yeah.
That's my rant
So
for
yeah.
today.
So as you can hear, we're completely pissed off about Trimet caving to these minority interests
Yeah.
because of some lawsuit that may or may not happen. Um,
Yeah. So,
and you should be mad too.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I should also mention, about a week later from that memo coming out, there was a pretty spicy TriMet board meeting, where the TriMet general manager and the project manager for the 82nd Avenue Transit project just got absolutely
Hmm.
ripped and basically attempted to walk back their recommendation to only do the 3 miles of bat lanes. Um, so the board themselves kind of ripped them apart because, as one of them said, they woke up to 50 emails on Monday morning. Um, so apparently, from what I can read, this is also great reporting by Bike Portland. The board was pretty unaware that that recommendation was going to be made and wanted some explanation as to why that was the recommendation and not the more when they looks like on paper they do actually have the money for it and the overwhelming majority supports it. Um and the the project manager for 82nd Avenue actually ends up blaming Bike Portland because they claim that he didn't put all the information out there and it caused confusion.
But no,
However,
he put it out there.
yeah, according to their own memo, it was their official recommendation that they only um
Do a
they
little bit
only do the
of yeah.
the 3 miles. And in the opening line, Bike Portland writes, in a move that has stunned transit advocates, TriMet 82nd Avenue Transit Project staff have recommended. So he was very clear in
Yeah,
his
he was
reporting that,
completely truthful and transparent in his reporting, and
yeah,
the project staff is just making stuff up.
yeah, because they got caught with their
Because
pants around their ankles,
exactly.
basically.
Um, so yeah,
So, and I mean, my opinion is like, even if this is just a recommendation, and reading this, they were saying, well, let me find the name of it again. Some committee, Policy and Budget Committee. Um, it's made up of like 7 people: the TriMet General Manager, Clackamas County Commissioner,
hmm,
Metro Counselors, ODOT Policy and Development Manager, PBOT Director, and Community Advisory Committee Representative. So they are the ones that actually get to make the final say. But I mean, in my opinion, if the TriMet general manager and the TriMet project manager of the 82nd Avenue Transit Project make an official
yes,
recommendation to do something, the committee is probably going to vote in favor of that recommendation.
hmm,
Unless people, I mean, if
unless
people are
there's
like
massive public
really,
outcry, yeah,
yeah,
which
which
there
there has
should
been a
be
decent
because this
amount.
is
I
yeah,
mean, but there needs to be more because I don't think there's enough to sway these 7 people, considering one of them is also a person that made the recommendation to not do
yeah,
it. So,
exactly. So yeah, I don't know. this kind of goes down to a systemic issue that the power to make these decisions is in the hands of only a few people,
Yeah,
and these people might be influenced by nefarious interests. Uh,
yeah. If
yeah,
this was put up to a public vote, which would probably be tomorrow,
yep,
um, more than likely would have passed because the surveys showed that the overwhelming majority of the public was in support of it.
yep,
So, anyway, long story short, it's not technically dead. They still could do the whole project, but the wind is not blowing in that direction, is how I'll put it.
exactly. Um, so yeah, it remains to be seen whether they will have uh lots of good bus lanes on 82nd Avenue, which they should, but yeah, I don't know. Do all the engagement things to get them to do this because it's really sad that they're not following the will of the public.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
anyway,
yeah, on that note, do you want to talk about the other BRT in the area? Oh, I'm sorry. I should mention if this is really quick because there's not
yeah,
much to talk about. There is a second bus rapid transit project, FX line that TriMet is in the early planning stages for,
yep,
which will run on TV Highway.
yeah,
That's all I know
and
about it.
one of the people with one of the counties out there, Washington County, I think, is a
Yeah.
big advocate for this project. I don't know. I'm an idiot and I can't find his name. Um, oh, I'm looking at the. Oh yeah, Juan Carlos Gonzalez is who's a Metro councilor for Washington County, is a big proponent of it, and he has some good things to say about it. Maybe we can link the article if we remember, but yeah, maybe search up TV Highway BRT and then you'll see the article for Bike Portland. Anyway, it's kind of cool that he's pushing for it because TV Highway is a really neglected area, and improving transit along that would be a really good thing.
Yeah. I also want to mention like it's good that he's in support of it because as it we can kind of see from the 82nd Avenue project, um someone from Washington County will probably be involved in voting on yes or no on doing bus lanes or just doing the project in general.
Yeah,
So it's good that there's support at the county level.
and
And
not
it
just that TriMet, who's I don't know, they're kind of effing around and finding out right now.
yeah. Um, so hopefully that will help push the project forward and actually make something happen.
So the other bus rapid transit in quotation marks system in this region is to the north in Vantucky, Vancouver. And it's run by C-Tran, and it is known as the Vine. Um, the Vine is an enhanced bus service that does much the same thing that the FX does, where they run 60-foot buses instead of 40-foot buses. They have fancier stations, and they have transit signal priority through some kind of software magic, without any bus lanes or and barely any bus signals. Um, and that works about as well as you'd expect. Um, some of the things that the Vine does differently than TriMet slash FX is their stops feature what's called a rub rail. which is basically a plastic strip that's put along the curb of the bus stop, which means that buses can literally rub along it. They put their tires aligned with the rail, which means the buses can get right up next to the curb and have basically only a few 2-inch gap between the bus and the platform. And it means they can have level boarding. There's barely any difference between the height of the platform and the bus, which makes it a lot more accessible. It's really cool improvement that they did, and it's interesting that they didn't do that with the FX, which was built after the Vine was built. So the first Vine line, which is now known as the Green Line, runs along Fourth Plain Boulevard from Vancouver Mall to downtown Vancouver. It was originally known as Line 4, I think. Um, and this was the highest ridership bus line on the C-Tran system. And it began service in 2017 when they bought 10 New Flyer hybrid 60-foot buses. Um, let's look along the. Oh, yeah, it was served by local routes 4 and 44, looks like. It's mainly Route 4. And it mostly uses Fourth Plain, a little bit of Fort Vancouver Way, a little bit of McLaughlin Boulevard, and a little bit of downtown streets. When the project was started, there were 0 bus lanes, but there were 2 queue jumps, like what we mentioned. The queue jumps were not very useful for letting buses skip traffic because they most one of them was kind of useful. If you open up your textbook to Vancouver, I'm cracking myself up over here. You can look at one of them is on General
456.
Anderson Avenue, where buses pull into the right turn lane. Then they get to wait for the um, then when buses are done picking up passengers, they flip off their hazards. In theory, the traffic light sees that their hazards are off, and then they can pull back into traffic. The problem is they added bus lanes on Fourth Plain after that, which means the queue jump is pretty redundant now because buses can just use that lane afterwards. So it's kind of silly that they even have the queue jump. The other queue jump is on Thurston Way and Vancouver Plaza Drive, which that one was redundant to start with because it leads into just another lane of traffic. Currently, here's some inside baseball knowledge. Currently, that bus signal is not working at all, and buses just follow the normal traffic light, which is kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, like I said, that the Green Line, which was just known as the Vine back then, had 0 bus lanes. But since then, Vancouver has had a cool mayor. I forget what her name is, but she has really pushed for more for streets that have more bus lanes, more bike lanes, protected bike lanes. It's cool stuff. So Fourth Plain Boulevard and Fort Vancouver Way have gotten some bus lanes put on there, which does allow buses to skip some traffic. Signal priority on the Vine is just okay. It's kind of the same thing as the FX, where it will sometimes hold the light a little longer. But when there's cars in front of the bus Um, and the light has to wait too long. It gives up and then changes to a red light. and uh, and it will not change to a green light when there's a bus waiting. It'll just do a normal phase like it's a normal car. So it's kind of like hit or miss. Um, the second line, the red line on the Vine system, runs on Mill Plain Boulevard between downtown Vancouver and a new transit center called Mill Plain Transit Center, which is supposed to serve the Clark College campus over there, um, and pretty much doesn't serve anything else. But anyway, by the way, the whole Vine thing is a little bit of a way to get federal funding to build fancy new transit centers. Uh, you can attest to this also, Clayton, but Vancouver Mall Transit Center used to be on the north side of Vancouver Mall. It used to be a really janky thing where buses had to line up on what's now like I don't know, like a road leading into the mall. It was really a really weird deal, but
Yeah.
because they got that nice federal funding to build the BRT line, they got to build a fancy new transit center at Vancouver Mall. And
Hey,
with that funding, yeah,
I'm all for legally exploiting the federal government. So
exactly. Um, yeah, good for them that they got the bag on that.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, they were able to build the new Mill Plain Transit Center in East Vancouver. And the line runs on Mill Plain Boulevard through some of the best strode environments that everyone knows and loves, with a 6-lane road with 2 right turn lanes, um, super narrow sidewalk, basically 82nd Avenue. Um,
and an in and out coming soon.
oh, yeah, that's going to make traffic so much better.
And they have a Raising Canes now.
Yep.
Thought I saw something about like a Chick-fil-A opening. Oh, there is a Chick-fil-A already on it, but
Yeah.
I think there's
Might be a
another one
second
supposed to
one.
open. So,
Yeah.
yeah, all your usual Strode things. You got,
Amenities.
yeah,
Uh,
Safeway, Walgreens, all that.
there's a car dealership going in.
Oh yeah, I saw one that's gonna be in like a basically a massive
Yeah,
parking
it's going to
garage
be a
type thing.
Lexus dealer, I think, and they're building a massive parking garage to park the fancy cars in. That'll be
Perfect.
that'll make traffic a lot better in that area.
Yeah, it's great
Um,
land use too
it's
for all
it's a
these new apartments that went in there too.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that's the red line. It's a lot longer than the green line. It takes a little bit longer to drive, and you can get stuck in a lot more traffic crossing I-5, or the 205, I mean, because that area gets so backed up in terms of traffic, and they decided to build 0 bus lanes with this project, and
Well, I
yeah.
mean, they technically built that one on 160, like right past 164th in the right lane.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the 50 feet of bus lane that they built.
Yeah, like literally 50 feet. It's like 50 feet bus station, right turn lane, and then have at it. And
Yep,
the buses
exactly.
can't even. There's a like a right turn lane before the intersection that they could use as a queue jump to go straight into that, but they don't.
Yep, exactly. Because we can't have nice things. But hopefully, I don't know. I'm hoping in the future Vancouver will get smarter and then put some bus lanes on Mill Plain. Uh, 'Cause Mill Plain is up for a repaving really soon because it's in real rough shape now. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the woke mayor will take away some lanes from pesky motorists and add them to the bus lane for the people.
Yeah, I mean it's 3 lanes. It should be easy to
Yeah,
get rid
add
of.
a bat lane, as they say.
Yeah.
The Red Line replaced Route 37, which was the second highest ridership of any line on the C-Tran system. And it gets pretty decent ridership to this day, especially for the land use in the area. There's not a lot of dense housing, but there's a lot of lower income people who it's good that they have an option. And they're not they can use nice buses instead of the buses that were just for the poor and the desperate before. uh anyway, if you don't have anything to add for the current.
um well, there's also a oh, are you going into the talk about the
Oh
new
yeah, I
line?
was going into the future project. Do you have anything to add for the current Vine system?
Um no. I think we covered everything. I from a personal perspective, I like this system a little bit better than the FX, but not there's not much to base that on. It's just I think because I
Yeah,
lived in the area up, there when it started, and I was like, oh, this is a cool new system, but it doesn't really have any like functional advantages over the FX. It's
it
operated.
is nice that they have level boarding
Hmm.
at
Oh,
all the stations,
I was
and
gonna
that
ask
they
you, do they still need ramps? Like wheelchair
yes,
ramps?
you still have to deploy the ramp,
Okay.
but with these fancy buses they bought from New Flyer, wheelchair users are able to self-secure. So once they roll onto the bus, they can back into the new wheelchair bays and then secure themselves. The operator doesn't have to get out of their seat and secure the wheelchair user. So I don't know, it's a lot better for accessibility because people with mobility devices don't have to be treated as second class citizens and strapped in. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of dehumanizing a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They still have to deploy the ramp, which takes a few seconds, but it's so much faster and so much more pleasant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Anyway,
was I just wanted to ask that because I was thinking about it when you said that it was level. I was like, what if the gap is still too big?
but like people with walkers and stuff, they can get over the gap no problem.
Yeah, that's good at least.
And you can bring bikes on the bus too, which is also cool. Can you do that with the FX?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's relatively the same experience. Like if you go in the back door, because there's
Mm-hmm.
well, this is something that's a little different with C-Trans. So both the Nova buses and the new Flyers that they run have 3 doors.
Okay.
On TriMet, you can board on all 3 doors, but on C-Train, they only let you board on the back two. You can't get on the front.
Yes.
Um,
Which I'm not sure why that decision was made. Maybe it's to have slightly shorter platforms, but save a
yeah,
little bit of money. But also, it means that drivers don't have to interact with pesky customers as much. Um, I don't know. As a bus operator, I actually like helping people with questions. So I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe it's just because I'm a nerd too, and I get to show off my knowledge. But anyway,
But yeah, the reason I brought that up is on the back door of I think it's both buses. You board the bikes on, and then there's just like a holder to secure the bike in on the bus. So is that the same way for the Vine? I don't remember.
yes, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
it's back door for bikes. The middle door is for mobility devices. It has the mini ramp that flips out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the mobility device situation on the FX is. But
Yeah. I will say the benefit of not having the front door on the Vine is people like in my experience, just kind of watching people when
Yes.
I've ridden the FX in downtown. Well, not just downtown, but anywhere in Portland.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but I guess this mainly happens in downtown because there's a lot of boardings. A lot of people still gravitate towards the front door, even though they don't
Hmm.
need to. So the on the FX, you can still pay cash, and so you have to board the front door because that's the only door that has a fare box. But
Yeah.
all three doors have hop card readers, so I'll
Hmm.
see people all the time with hop card readers getting on at the front door, and so like a big line will form,
Exactly.
and so at least on
Takes away
C-Tran,
from some of the efficiency improvements.
yeah. Um, and you guys, or I'm sorry, C-Tran still has,
Cut
they
that! Cut
still,
that! No.
yeah. C-Tran still has, fair, like payment machine at the stop, right? Like if you're paying with
Yeah, you can
cash,
buy a bus ticket there with cash.
yeah. So that
Uh, exactly.
speeds things up too, because if you're paying with cash on TriMet, you still board in the front door and use the fare
People will
box. So
sometimes, the machines sometimes don't work. They'll sometimes still get on the bus and be like, machine doesn't work. And then you gotta have someone come out and fix the machine.
mm.
In the meantime,
did
you just tell them it's okay.
did they even install a fare box on the Fine buses?
No,
Okay, so
which is
even if
good because
yeah,
no one wants to deal with that on the rapid bus.
yeah, but yeah, I was wondering like for those people if they're like the thing's broken, if you were supposed to still try to get them to like use the fare box as like a backup, or if you're just sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Uh, yeah, so in the future of the Vine system in Vancouver, they they're planning two projects, which is a new line, the Purple Line, which will go from downtown Vancouver up Main Street slash Highway 99 all the way to WSU Vancouver, which is pretty far north of downtown Vancouver. This project will mostly replace Line 71, which is the third highest ridership of the C-Tran system, and Line 19, which gets barely any riders, but that's because it doesn't go anywhere useful. Um, anyway, the plan is to have it go up Main Street, up Broadway and Main Street. Uh, Stop at a new transit or a revived transit center at Salmon Creek, which they used to have a park and ride at Salmon Creek, I believe, which is at
they
a hundred
still
and
technically do.
yeah 139th. Um, I think yeah, it's kind of weird because you can't get any buses there, but besides
Yeah, I
kind
think
of the 19, but yeah,
I
it's
think
a
the
weird.
C van services it, but there's no
Mhm.
fixed route service. Yeah, they're gonna bring it back
Exactly.
apparently, but it's interesting because this is a little off topic, but the Route 105 used to that was its northern terminus, was
Okay.
the Salmon Creek Park and Ride. Then it would um, stop at 99th Street, which is its current northern terminus,
Hmm.
and then follow
It
its
would,
usual route.
yeah,
But
exactly. And for the uninitiated, the 105 is an express bus route that goes between Vancouver and downtown Portland.
it's
Uh, yeah.
fairly popular too. I've ridden it several times and
And it
pretty
has
high
the
ridership.
105X variant, which doesn't stop at downtown Vancouver on the way.
Yeah.
Um, it saves a negligible amount of time. Anyway, um, yeah, the plan is to revive the old Salmon Creek Park and Ride. I assume they're going to use those Biden bucks in order to make the transit center to build a new transit center that's fancier and stuff, just like the other two we've seen. Um, and then they're going to have it turn around and go back on probably 139th and go up to WSU Vancouver.
Yeah. I don't have the actual route pulled up, but yeah, I think it because they've published the route. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it goes down 139th. I think it goes past Legacy, and then it goes
Yes.
up 29th Avenue. And I think they're building like a new like terminus
Yeah, they're
station.
building a kind of a new transit center up there just
Yeah.
for the college. I think it's actually going to go on campus versus what the 19 did, which is where it goes like down the hill from campus, which is
Yeah. Which is someone
uh,
that attended WSU Vancouver. Both options were not great. Taking the
exactly.
19 was not great because it doesn't run very often, and I
Mhm.
had to take like two different buses just to transfer to it.
Exactly.
And driving to the campus wasn't fun either because I either paid like an insane amount of money to park right by the you know campus buildings, or I park in the which is what I did. I park in the gray lot,
Uh-huh. And then you got
which
to walk
was
a whole long distance.
yeah. It's honestly it wasn't that long of a walk, but in the wintertime it was brutal because it would be so
Hmm.
cold and windy because you're up on the
Oh
hill,
yeah,
and so it will
it'll be
be
nice to take a nice big fancy bus there.
yeah. So
Anyway, that line is probably going to look similar to the other two Vine routes that we've seen so far. They're going to get rid of a lot of stations and condense them down to a few more major stations that are at major intersections. And one of the things that differentiates the Vine from a normal route is that the stop spacing is a little farther. The stops are a half mile away approximately instead of like a quarter mile or less, which is what they are now. So that'll be nice. That'll speed up buses a little bit. Uh, but they, as it seems right now, they're not planning any bus lanes. They're just going to put fancy stops in. Maybe some places for bikes to get around the stops. Um,
yeah, I
and
mean at the
yeah,
very least putting like a bus lane slash like queue jump at like 78th Street, like 99th Street would be
exactly.
super helpful
I was
because
thinking
traffic backs
about
up.
78th Street the other day, where they would put the stop there. Because there's not that much room between Baja Fresh and Highway 99. uh, if they would extend it into the street and have the bike lane go around it on the far side, or if it would actually make a lot of sense to put the queue jump before the intersection. But they might have to acquire a little bit of property from Domino's Pizza. Anyway, it's kind of interesting stuff to think about.
Yeah.
I should talk
I,
to the planner at the company I may not work for.
yeah, just hit up C-Tran, like where are you putting the
I
stops?
don't know. He's a big nerd too, so I should talk to him.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway,
You'll have to figure out what is public information.
yeah, exactly.
What can
What
I
I can
share?
reveal.
Yeah.
The other thing is they want to bring it down to the new Vancouver waterfront area, or the newish. So we'll see how that plays out. Because the current Route 71 doesn't go very close to the waterfront. It's still a few blocks away. Um,
Yeah, I don't know where exactly they're planning on routing it, but sometimes like because right now you can, unless you're taking like 71, you basically have to drive down here,
Exactly.
and it can get
Yeah,
it can be like chaos trying to drive down there. So
exactly. The parking's a nightmare,
yeah, so
especially
hopefully,
like at night on a like Friday or Saturday night. It's chaos down there. Yeah.
yeah, so hopefully wherever they route it, they either keep it out of the insanity or
Yeah.
give it some sort of like dedicated. But I doubt they'll do that. But
Yeah, exactly. We can't have nice things. Anyway,
yeah,
uh, I will say between the green line and the red line, they did figure out how to do this whole enhanced bus service a little bit better. Uh, um, Here's a little more inside baseball knowledge. When you're driving the green line, there's a lot of the one that runs on fourth plane. There's a lot of stops that are set up really weirdly, where you have to set up for the turn really precisely in order to not hit the curb in a way that makes a loud noise with the bus. um,
which I've heard a lot being on the bus.
exactly. The Green Line takes a lot more skill to drive because they didn't really know what they were doing when they built it. Um, and it requires training in order to figure out how to get into those stops. On the Red Line, they designed a lot of the, they designed pretty much all the stations so they're super easy to drive into as a bus operator. So somehow they did get better at building these enhanced bus stops, which I think is pretty neat.
Yeah. Did you mention the extension of the Green Line yet?
No, that's the final thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I don't know a ton of like details, but so currently, like we said, it runs from downtown Vancouver to Vancouver Mall. So they're planning on extending it so it would continue east from Vancouver Mall, down Fourth Plain Boulevard, and then head south on 162nd, which turns into 164th, and terminate at Fisher's Landing Transit Center. So it
Yes.
would intersect with the current red line alignment on Mill Plain and 164th. So
Yeah, and this would replace Route 74, which goes on East Fourth Plain. And well, that pretty much does that route. And a little bit of Route 30 on 164th, which it's good that they would add more service on 164th because it is a higher, it does have a higher density of transit use. It's a busier area. They need that. The east part of Fourth Plane, I'm not sure they need as much enhanced bus service because I don't know, it's not as dense, but it's going to be interesting to see if ridership really takes off eventually, because there is a lot more a good amount of dense housing just off of Fourth Plane in the east part.
yeah, and they're opening up a lot of warehouses in that area near where like Fourth Plane and 162nd
Hmm.
intersect, and like the southwest corner of it.
Yeah.
Um, so that could create a lot of ridership if there's significant like job growth in that area.
Yeah. And then another interesting thing. This is public information. They're planning on putting a mini transit center at kind of at that intersection. You can see where 65th Street branches off of 162nd. The Route 74 kind of diverts a little bit um, onto that 65th Street. They're planning on turning that little diversion into a mini transit center where riders can easily transfer between the new Green Line extension and the 78, which, or no, the
Hmm.
72, which goes up to Orchards, that whole mess up there. Um, So that's kind of an interesting thing that they're planning on doing. They haven't done like a mini like pass through transit center before. You can
Yeah,
see
I
there's
didn't.
an empty lot where they could put it.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know they were gonna do that, but that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, the planner guy I talked to is kind of excited about that. So I don't know. It's kind of cool that they're planning on doing more uh, enhanced transit in our area in the future
Yeah.
because we know that we're sure as heck not going to get any more max extensions anytime soon.
Yeah,
French
at best the two
interstate
stop
ranch.
extension and Vancouver, but oh, anyway. Um, okay, do you have anything else to touch on the Vine before I change to one last subject?
Uh, Not really. Can we take a pause real quick? Because I gotta piss like a racehorse.
Yeah,
I don't know
sure.
if you want to keep that in. Sorry about that interruption. I drank an entire Zoa zero sugar energy drink, frosted grape flavor from Costco. You can get 12 of them for uh $15 because they're on sale. Please sponsor us. Or if you don't, we will say bad things about your brand. Clayton's not here.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry, I'm back. I
Okay.
decided to take a break too. Um, okay. So I wanted to ask you, this will be quick, but I wanted to ask you if you saw Miami, it's like Miami-Dade County's new Metro bus rapid transit.
No, I didn't know they were still building any kind of transit in Miami.
Yeah, you gotta check this out. But
Okay.
just to give like a brief overview to everyone, I highly recommend going to watch like a video of it if you even have like the slightest interest in transit, which you probably do because you're listening to this. But this
hmm
thing is like insane. It runs, I don't even know how long the corridor is, but it runs on its own
Oh
dedicated
yeah,
corridor.
that's the busway that goes south of uh Dadeland South, which is the southern terminus of Metro Rail.
Yeah. So, and then they built crossing gates like you would have for a train to block the intersection when the bus comes through. And
Florida drivers.
yeah, and the stations
Holy
are,
crap! I didn't know they actually had crossing.
yeah.
Oh
And
yeah, it
this,
looks like they were just recently built.
yeah, I mean, this thing just opened last week. Um,
So I knew
so
they had this transit way. They've had it since the 80s when the Metro Rail was built,
Hmm.
but it's insane that they did this quote unquote improvement to it.
Yeah. So in the stations, as you can probably see on the pictures, are massive. They have like interior areas with fare gates, and they're climate controlled. Um, and then when the bus, it has like a real time arrival board, and then when the bus is pulling up, you go outside, get on the bus. So,
It
but
looks like they have center platforms too, so the buses must have doors on the left.
yeah, they do have center platforms. So. Watching one of the videos, one of the planners said that part of the reason it's so extensive, like with the massive stations and the crossing gates and everything, is
Hmm.
they're planning on extending Metro Rail the entirety of this system, and
Okay.
they said hopefully in the next 10 years. And this will cut down significantly on the cost to do that because they've already built a lot of the infrastructure needed, like the stations and everything, so they can literally just slap rails down on this, and
Okay.
they're going to use like these stations and everything in that
That's
project. So
interesting that they would have it run at grade with these level crossings too, because the rest of the Metro Rail system is mostly elevated and has zero grade crossings. So that'll be interesting to see if they extend Metro Rail and have it have. It's not automated or anything, but that's fascinating.
yeah, but yeah, I saw this. It just like randomly popped up on my YouTube feed last week, and I was like, "What on earth?"
Hmm.
I've never seen a bus with a crossing gate like that.
I heard they're
Literal
planning on
gate
doing
arms.
that for the Orange Line busway in LA, which is
Oh, okay.
north of the Red Line in the San Fernando Valley. That's not an LA accent. I don't know how to do that one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk like a valley girl. um, yeah. Anyway, they
The
yeah
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You can.
they were planning on putting crossing gates up there, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen either.
Um, the video I watched of this was funny because they weren't running normal service. They were like doing a grand opening, but then at first they weren't letting anyone on the buses, and they weren't even running these 60-foot electric buses. They were just running like normal 40-foot
That's
buses.
pretty funny.
Which didn't have the doors on the side, so they just drove through the station. But they were testing the signals.
And the
Um,
crossing gates.
yeah, but then at every intersection, the police would block traffic, even with the crossing gate down. The police would stay there. So I wonder if they're having like a problem with the signals, and they were like testing it to make sure it was working. But
It's one of the more Florida things I've ever heard of.
yeah, so yeah, quite interesting. Check it out. The Miami-Dade County Metro Bus Express Bus Rapid Train. I
Yeah,
don't
and
know what
I
they're
didn't
calling
even
it,
know
but
about this until you brought it up. So thank
I
you.
didn't either. I just saw it pop up on my
Oh,
YouTube, and I was like, "What's this?" But yeah, it
wild.
opened October 27th.
Well, good for Florida actually doing something
Yeah,
other than killing hundreds of people with their train and
yeah,
their very well designed level crossings.
yeah. Oh, there's a Reddit article that said that the first week yeah, the signals were just going crazy, and it's just like glitching out, and the ride that would should take 20 to 25 minutes was actually taking like 50 minutes.
That's pretty
So
good.
hopefully they fix that. But
Hmm.
Okay. Do you have anything to plug?
Uh, I wish.
Yeah.
Uh, Jonathan from Bike Portland, come on the podcast or have us on your podcast.
Yeah. That would
Uh,
be very
even
fun.
though compared to us, you're a golden god and we're just dirt under your feet.
Yeah. We will kiss your shoes and kiss your
Yeah,
feet and whatever.
yeah,
Okay. Well, if you are listening slash watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all the usual things that you always hear. If you're listening to us on some other platform, I guess share this with a friend. Somebody might find it interesting.
exactly.
Get the word out there that we're doing this.
Yeah, go
All
go
right.
bug, go poke TriMet until they do
Yeah,
something.
please tell them you strongly oppose their recommendation to only do some bat lanes, that you wholeheartedly support the more bat lanes option.
Yeah,
Hopefully they listen. So,
exactly.
all right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. So we
Yep.
will see you all next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.